Someone told me recently, someone that I was talking to, and it's funny because I've experienced this firsthand. So when this question was asked to me, and I'll tell you the question was someone told me, "Why do you like me? Why do you like me?" And it's funny because I've asked that question to people before, where I think maybe a trauma or something in college that was very prevalent is I always felt like men would have a crush on me, and it felt like it was really only physical. It felt like people liked the image of me, or people would like their perception of me before they really had a chance to know me, right? So I've had to really learn as an adult to manage seeing people for who they are, because for me, something that's very important and continues to be very important for me is to feel seen beyond the surface level, beyond everything that's shallow. Because like they say, like all the things on the surface, what really matters is what's in the inside. And feeling seen is something that's always been very important to me, which is a driving force as to why one of my biggest values is authenticity and being my most authentic self, because I really want to present who I am the best way that I could, because I want to be felt. I know you can't really control perception, you can't control the way people perceive you, but if you live authentically, or you try your best to kind of like present the way you are, it helps. So then at least if someone's gonna say something or someone's gonna think something, it's better it's a better representation than if you were to have not presented yourself in a more authentic way. Anyways, um, yeah, that's something I always try to. I always strive to feel seen, and I strive to make others feel seen. And that's also why I try to be very thoughtful. I try to be a good listener. I try to be someone who's just very engaged with people I interact with. And it's why I love connecting with others, talking to others, meeting new people, and just learning about people, because I enjoy learning about others and I want people to feel seen. Anyways, so yeah, someone had told me recently, or asked me recently, which was fair enough. They said, "Why do you like me?" And when I thought about it the day after, I was like, that's a very interesting question, because I don't think I've ever had someone tell me that before. And it made me really reflect on one of my own things, which was something I struggled with for a long time, was maybe putting on other people too much of myself versus not doing that. I'm trying to find a way to phrase it to like honor my own feelings, because I'm getting those feelings again. So I think the thing with getting to know someone, in whatever shape or form that may seem, I think an important yet challenging thing is learning how to get to know people outside of yourself. And what I mean by that is learning about someone without putting on them qualities that you're looking for. And I think, at least for me, to be honest, I do this very unconsciously, and I've noticed it about myself, and I actively work on it all the time, because I've always struggled with it and I've gotten so much better. Because to be vulnerable, I used to really struggle with limerance and projecting onto people, and also, like I said, like the fixing thing. So like projecting onto people qualities I wanted, or qualities I saw they held, like potential. Like if I saw the potential in someone, I would not see the person in front of me. I would see this image of who this person could be, of all the great qualities that I assumed this person held, which could have been true. But then I really didn't allow them to talk about all the other parts of who they were outside of myself. So the parts that I didn't recognize. Because when you meet people, I think people tend to connect with qualities they resonate with, good and bad. So you find that honestly, sometimes when you feel a connection, a lot of it is at first glance the qualities you love the most about yourself, or the qualities you admire the most about other people that you would like to embody. Or, worst case scenario, this is more like a trauma bond. The qualities that trigger you that you haven't worked through, the qualities that challenge you. Now, all three of these things are there to teach you something. And I think while a connection I think is really important and something I really value, the hardest thing in the world that I'm trying to actively learn is how to feel all that, especially the positive kinds, like meeting someone and feeling connected to the qualities you see in them that you love, that you admire, that remind you of yourself, the qualities that are great. But then separating that and allowing space to learn about this person for who they are outside of you, like separate, totally separate. So you could really see them, you know? Because I think it's hard to see someone when what you see are just the pieces that feel the most familiar. So for me, the pieces that I tend to be the most attracted to are passion, courage, vulnerability, self awareness, intelligence, emotional intelligence, compassion, empathy, curiosity, playfulness, a youthful spirit, optimism. I'm literally, if I'm being honest, I'm listing all the qualities that I love about myself. And these are the qualities that I connect with the most when I meet someone. And which is amazing because that's what you want. But then it's also a dangerous line because you don't want that to be all that you see, because then you're not really seeing someone. And then that's when, I get a question like, why do you like me? And it's tough to answer that because then you start to think like, I mean, you're right. I don't, it's only the beginning. Like it's so early. And it's all of that. And I think in that way, what I meant before, I think in that way, I feel like I'm really maturing now. I think I've always been a daydreamer. I've always been someone who just like imagines and like, I've struggled with, ironically, being a Capricorn. I struggled with reality, the realities of things, the complications of life. I've always tried really hard to create safe spaces for myself, to control the narrative of life, to make it as simple as possible because I didn't like how unfair some things could feel and uncontrollable. So I really wanted things to feel simple. And I feel like I'm maturing in such a beautiful way where I'm becoming more comfortable with reality and life and accepting the real world and trying to find and navigate my life according to it. Because I think before, for the past 2 years, I've given a huge importance in curating a safe space, which includes my room. My room is my safest space. I would say not a lot of people have ever visited me. I don't think, maybe only, no one, I haven't had a visitor in my room all year. Last year, only 2 people visited my room, and both were friends. And it was only one time. No one's ever visited my room. And partly because I live in the Bronx and it's pretty far, and also partly because my room is such a safe space. And I feel like if I were to invite someone over, it's very vulnerable, and I'm like, someone's really entering my safe space. And I've really, really put in the time and the care to create a place that I can feel safe to exist in, knowing how much how unsafe the real world could feel. And it often feels scary to exist in such an sometimes unsafe, unpredictable world. And now that I'm in a place where I feel comfortable exploring the realities of life and accepting it, kind of what I think I've mentioned before. And I feel like, yeah, I'm stepping into maturity. I'm stepping into womanhood. I feel like I've always held this mature spirit, emotion. Like, I've always been someone who strives to be emotionally intelligent. Who I feel like I've tried to be smart intuitively and emotionally and spiritually. And I feel like now I'm entering a sense of maturity within life, which I've struggled with because I feel like real life has always scared me in a way, because I'm like, oh, it's scary, like real life, like the real stuff. Like I'm 30 now, and like I hear about people, and if I'm being truly honest, I hear people talking about, especially now that I'm actively dating, just to see what's out there. A lot of the conversations now when you're dating is, how do you feel about marriage? How do you feel about kids? And I've said this before. I'm very open. I'm open to marriage. I'm open to kids. I'm open to all that stuff. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. Um, but I don't have a lot of like serious adult life experience, and I don't want to take away from my own experience, because I do think I have a lot of emotional experience. I've been through the ringer, and also I've met so many kinds of people, and I've experienced a lot of things. I've had a lot of experiences, but I haven't had a lot of life experience. I've been very sheltered. Um, I recognize that. And in some ways, I think I can be a little, I don't want to say naive, but I just don't know certain things. So, as I said before, I don't know what it's like to commit to someone in an adult relationship for an extended period of time, for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, for a really long, like, I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what it feels like to do all that. Um, and I want to say that I kind of know. But I mean, I don't. It's like, that sort of thing. I don't know what it's like to live with a person. I don't know what it's like to, yeah, like, the real life stuff. That, like, it's kind of scary. That commitment sort of thing. I have a lot of inner world experience. I've grown internally. And I think I've matured incredibly in that regard, where I'm so well rounded, I'm well groomed, I'm a flourishing garden, I hold this wisdom, I feel like, because I've taken the time to learn so much about myself. And I think now that I've really nurtured my inner world, I've recently have been ready to find safety in the real world, in reality, and like really take a look at the real stuff. Like, now that I'm 30, take a look at, like, what does a committed relationship look like for me? Like, what do I actually want in a partner? Now that I'm actively dating, I'm having sort of like fun right now, but once I do find another emotional connection, like, how can I see that person for who they are and not project my own things? Because, I want to, because when I got that, because I've never had someone ask me, like, why do you like me? And it almost made me feel really bad, because I'm like, damn, is that how I made you feel? Because I would never want someone to, like, I don't want someone to feel like I don't see them. Because I do, you know? I see stuff. I don't say a lot, but I see stuff. And I know what it feels like to not feel seen. And when you get a question like that, it makes you really reevaluate your actions and really think about things, where it's like, oh man, maybe I've been projecting too much of my own stuff onto people. Maybe I should step a little bit back into reality and like ask all the right questions, like, you know? But then I don't know. Again, this kind of goes back to learning. I think when you've been sheltered, when you've put such a focus on like the insides, the self growth, the learning about yourself. I mean, I've put 10, 12 years, maybe more, into fully dedicating myself to inner growth and maturing internally and healing my wounds and really growing inside. That some things I'm really just starting now to learn. And yeah, it's like a slow learning thing. Like I'm learning how to see people for who they are really. And I want to. I don't want to project my own stuff onto other people. Like when I meet someone, I don't want to I want to approach it as securely as possible. I want to see people for who they are. I don't want to see the potential. I don't want to put all my trauma, all my stuff on people. Like I really want to see people, and I want people to see me. And I don't want to trauma bond. I don't want to do all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. So I guess I'm sort of figuring that out. But I think that's what I want to check in about, like talk about. Cause it's tough. Cause I've healed my limerence quite recently, within the past 5 months, and it's like it was a big moment for me. I was really proud because I've struggled with this since I was like 13 years old, having crushes and stuff, and not knowing how to handle it or what to do about it. And when you don't know what to do about it, you like build it up, build it up, build it up. So you get all wrapped up, your whole feelings, and you get all crazy. And sometimes you really start to convince yourself that you're in love far too early, like far too early. And I had to unlearn that, and it took a long time, and I've finally gotten there. But every now and then, I'll make like a little mistake, and I'll catch myself, and I'll be like, listen, you really have to take the time to learn somebody, like learn every part of who they are before you could say the big stuff. And it takes a long time to know about someone, like things could feel perfect in 2 weeks, in 2 months, in 3 months. But then I don't really have experience with this, but I do know it. I know that after 6 months, after a year, after 2 years, you start to really see the full picture. And healing something like perfectionism, which is something I've worked on, I think will help me. And I think all the inner stuff helps with the outer stuff, and it makes it a lot easier. Because then when I do choose a person, and when someone chooses me, it becomes a lot easier to navigate because I'm already used to handling all that hard stuff. Because I think it's really easy to feel shame for lacking experience in certain things, but I think you kind of make it up with other things. So, yeah, I just wanted to quickly check in about this topic for that and to talk about it because I feel like it's really important. Sweet. Yeah. Stay cool, stay wavy. Talk to you later.